Okay, so today we are going to be talking about how to create a research plan. This is actually a worksheet that we're going to get into, and this is very simple. This is so easy to do. And previously, I did this on an Excel spreadsheet, but a lot of people don't have Excel. And so this time I'm doing this on Google Sheets. Now, don't freak out, don't run away. This is so stupidly easy. You're going to love it. So here's the thing though, you've got to know that when you are doing your research, this is kind of how this came about, right? As you're doing your research, you go, okay, I can't do any more online. I've exhausted what I can online. So what I do is I put it into my research notes and, kind of like in chronological order as to what it is that I am looking for and the details. And the thing is, this whole thing, let me show you. This whole thing kind of started with this family tree maker software. I don't really use it that much anymore, but one of the things I really loved about it is this plan. So as you're working in basically in family tree maker and you go, okay, I need to go find a marriage record for so-and-so. So when you're in a person's profile, you can add a task and assign it a location. That's really cool, because then the next time you go to that location, let's say it's the state archives or something, you've got a whole list of everything that you need to do. Well, all right, so I don't really use Family Tree Maker that much anymore. What I do is I created a research plan very similar in Google Sheets. And so this is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to show you how to build this. But across the bottom, you can basically see that I have different locations. I don't know if you can see those tabs across the bottom of your screen, maybe getting cut off. But you can see that I've got different locations, state archives and things. The cool part about this is you can filter it by the different names. So if I am only going to be researching, I don't know, Hilkiah Winslow, I can hit OK, and now I've got a truncated list. I can also prioritize and make sure that I'm being most efficient with my time at the library or the archives or wherever I am. Well, Roots Tech is coming up, and I'm getting ready to go to Roots Tech. And so I am going to, I'm kind of like putting together this plan of things that I want to look for at the Family History Center in Salt Lake City, because I don't get there very often. And so I'm super excited to do that. And well, anyway, let's jump into this. So this is a worksheet. I'm going to show you how to build it. I will put links in the description below the video to show you how to get the handouts. And by the way, if you are new here, my name is Connie Knox. I always forget to introduce myself sometimes. I am a lifelong genealogist here to help you go further, faster, and factually with your family history research. And so having said that, let's move on. Now, keep in mind too, though, that there is 3 or 4 different ways you can get the handout. All of that information is in the show notes below. Let's talk about how to build this spreadsheet, worksheet, whatever you want to call it. And, I did this on Google Sheets because it's free. So if you don't have a Google account, please get a Google account, because then you can subscribe to Genealogy TV. And so, all right, enough of this. Let's get going. We're going to talk about Google Sheets, and I promise you there's no math, so you do not have to freak out about how to do this. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to create this. So I have created this spreadsheet that you can borrow, use, refabricate however you want. I even put instructions in here. I created a master tab that has nothing on it that you could just use over and over again. So here's the thing. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is because as you are doing your research in your family tree, let's go over to the family tree for a second. And you're working around, and lately I've been working on one of these guys down this line here, Benjamin Garrett. And so I have been creating research notes. All right. Yes, Connie's going to talk about research notes for a minute. Along the way, as I do research, this is what I do every time. I am creating research notes. And in red, I will put information that I need to look for. And this is kind of a heads up. Now, a lot of times if I'm just researching at home, this is all I do. I don't bother to do a research plan because it just takes a little bit more time. But if it's something that I know that I have done that reasonably exhaustive research and I cannot find any more information about it, for example, for Benjamin Garrett here on Genealogy, which is the only source for this first wife, it says that, he married a gal named Catherine McComas. Well, I have found zero evidence of this woman and that he is married. And supposedly they had a son named John. Now, I have done a ton of research on this guy, and in his will, he never mentions a guy named John. So it could be that Genealogy or the members who were putting this information on Genealogy got it wrong. So this is one of the things we have to be careful when we're looking at member trees and, user input, because sometimes it just isn't right. So having said that, what I do a lot of times when I get to the point where I, can't find anything, I then go and create a research plan. So here is my research plan over here, and I'm going to jump down to the Family History Center, and here I have Benjamin Garrett, and I am making a note, and I realize that's probably really hard to see, so let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Zoom in. So I'm making a note here that I need to go and find this woman, if she even exists. I don't know. So I'm just going to do some digging at the Family History Center and see if I can find that. So I'm going to show you how to build this right now. So let's start with this master tab. Now this is very easy. All you have to do is pick a cell and type, right? You can type whatever you want. You can center your stuff. You can make it bold. You can increase the font if you need to. Let me bring this up full so you can see it. It's pretty simple. The thing is, you can highlight a row and you can turn on and off filters with this little funnel icon. And then when I'm going to go over to this example here, when you have something filtered, you'll see, like, if only I want to research Benjamin Garrett, and let me see, I'm going to click into this corner right here. So I'm highlighting everything on the screen. I'm going to make the font bigger so you can read it a little bit better. Okay. And by the way, I'm going to click away. If you hover your mouse between two different columns, you can resize them, which is kind of nice. So we can make that as big as we want. And so if I want to, I've got Wilhelmina Koss here, which is somebody I'm going to be looking for while I'm in Salt Lake City. And then I've got 3 here for Benjamin Garrett. By the way, I could highlight this whole column and make it bold if I want to make it bold. But I want to filter it to just Benjamin Garrett. So I'm going to turn off Wilhelmina Koss and I'm going to hit OK. So now I can just look for and focus on those. Well, let's pretend for a moment. I'm going to select all. And let's pretend for a moment. I'm going to pull this open so priority looks a little bit better. This is, I was starting to type something. This is my focus person, and I'm just going to go crazy looking for stuff. I do actually have a plan in my head as to what I'm going to do. I just haven't outlined it here. But let's say I want to organize this by priority. And when I first get there, I can just focus on Benjamin Garrett and the priority number 1, right? And then when I find what I'm looking for, I can then go to priority number 2 and ignore priority number 1. So one of the things that you can do also is when you find something, you can type it in. Here, I was actually preparing for this trip and I went, wait a minute. After doing some digging, because one of the things you want to do is you want to go and see if you can find the call numbers and all of that stuff online before you get to the location, because it's a time saver. You don't need to be looking stuff up online at the library or the archive, in this case, the Family History Center. I don't need to be going online looking for call numbers when I could do that at home before I leave. And so I have here, it says 2nd floor, and exactly what I'm looking for, then go straight to it when I get there. By the way, if you want to open these rows up, you can do the same thing. You can hover your mouse between the 2 different rows and move it around. you can double click. Let's say it's huge and you don't need it to be that big. You can double click and it will automatically format to what it needs. One of the things I want to tell you is if you're going to type something in here, or let's say you're going to paste a bunch of information in here, if you go and click in here and you paste that information, it could go into multiple cells. So what I recommend you do if you're going to paste information is you paste it into the formula bar instead, because that way it will all, that's what I did here. That way it will all fall into one cell instead of multiple cells. Okay, let me back up 1 second. One of the reasons why I do this on Google Sheets is because I can access it anywhere in the world. I don't have to, I carry my little Surface Pro with me, but I don't have to download the copy, download all my files to my computer that I'm taking on the road with me. That way I can then have access to it from the Google Drive, which is really helpful. So anytime you're doing research on the road and you can throw stuff on your Google Drive, and then as long as you have the internet, you have access to it just about anywhere in the world that you can access the internet, okay? Hey, we're going to get back to that video here in just a moment, but I want to let you know that Genealogy TV has a website, a newsletter, and a Facebook page. Links for all of that are in the show notes below. All right, let's get back to it. So this is pretty simple. I mean, this is not too hard. So what I've got here is I got a priority column. I've got ancestor info. For me, it's going to be mostly, you know, name, maybe a birth date. If I've got, in this case, Benjamin Garrett, there's 2 of them, the father and son. So it might be that I want to identify which one that is. In this case, Benjamin Garrett Jr., and maybe his birth and death dates. But that's, you know, up to you. We've got a column for a record type. In this case, we've got a book, a land grant, a marriage, and then I was just starting to make some notes about a focus person. So I have more work to do here. In this case, I have an author column because a lot of times these at the Family History Center, you find these books that sometimes it's the only place in the world that has this stuff is this book, and this book happens to be out of print. I would love to have a copy of it. But I want to find more information about her because I actually want to physically hold that book and I want to thumb through it. Maybe I want to scan some of the pages and then move on. So if you notice down here at the bottom, I've got BYU Library. I've got North Carolina State Archives. I've got Randolph County, North Carolina. I'm starting to work on that. So if you'll notice, all of the column widths are different. You can actually, let's see if I can pull this off. So you can actually highlight these. Let's go with this one as well. You can use this little paint roller. I'm going to click on that. Basically what that is it is a format painter is what it's called. I'm going to go to the next tab over and I'm going to highlight those same columns and I'm going to let go. My mouse is still down. I'll let go and it reformatted all of those columns to the width of this other page that I had copied. So if I could hit that format painter again, maybe go to a different tab. Now I'm on the Hedge Friends Library in Greensboro. Again, I highlight those columns and let go, and it reformats all of those column widths. So you can, the other thing you can do, here's another thing. I even wrote down here, right click to duplicate this first. So you right click and you click duplicate, and it creates another page from which you can mess with. You can double click into the tab and change the name, right? You can even, let's see if we can do some other fun stuff. You can colorize it. You can make it red. And when you click away, it shows up. You can make this one, I don't know, let's make this one yellow. And so now we can have different color tabs. Now I continually update this. Some of these notes are maybe a year old because I was doing research previous and I'm like, okay, I'm going to throw this in the research plan for the next time I'm at the, you know, say North Carolina State Archives. I know this is probably too small to read, but that way, when I'm at the archives next time, I have this plan of stuff that I've already been working on. I can access Ancestry from anywhere in the world. I can put my notes, my results in here and go for it. You know, it's kind of nice that this is super easy. I also want to show you something. I'm going to type just a bunch of gobbledygook in here just to get a bunch of stuff in here. Now it automatically word wrapped. And here's the word wrap. So let's say it's not word wrapped and it's all looks like this and you're going, wait a minute, how do I do this? How do I get it all in here? Well, there is a word wrap button right here where it says text wrapping. You hit the down arrow, and if you click this that says wrap, it word wraps. And that way it fits all into one cell. Okay. I'm going to delete that because I'm actually going to be using this document. You can colorize the cells. So if this is something highly important, I can come over to the paint bucket and I can make it yellow and say, hey, Connie, heads up. This is something I really want to pay attention to. Or maybe I make the priority columns something colorized. One of the things I wanted to show you if you want to insert a column is that you can right click and then you can insert a column to the left or insert a column to the right. You can delete a column. There's a lot of things you can do here with the right click menus. You just have to hover over and right click over the column header, and then you can insert a column to the left or to the right, whatever you want. And now we've got this inserted column. You can do the same thing with rows. If you hover your mouse over the row, right click, insert a row below, then you've got a new row in here as well. So there's a couple little tricks to just kind of manage your worksheet. Oh, let me show you one more thing. I have this row frozen. So what you do to do that is you go to View, Freeze, and you can freeze whatever you've got highlighted. So in this case, I'm saying 1. If I want to turn this off, because let's face it, when you're scrolling up and down and you've got a long list of items here, you want to freeze the headers. So again, View, Freeze, and let's say we want to turn that off. We say no rows, and now when we're scrolling up and down, the headers are not there. So I want to turn that back on again. I'm going to highlight that row. I'm going to say View, Freeze. In this case, I only need row 1. And now when I scroll, it goes up underneath the headers. This is super easy to do. So I highly recommend that you start keeping track of the stuff that you really need. Now, remember, for me, what I do for the most part are the research notes. So this is also my research notes, my research plan all in one. Let me zoom out so it's not so dizzying. But as you can see, I have other information and I embed that in chronological order because as I'm finding stuff, let's say an index, for example, I find an index and I go, okay, well, where there's an index, there's a record, right? So we want to go after the original record anytime we can. So hopefully the original record has survived. And so what I will do is I will put it in my notes that I found something. In this case, it is a probate record. I need to see if there's an original will or and compare for transcription errors. So I have got a lot of different little details in here about what I need to do. Well, I will go through my research notes for the people that I am focused on. And there's, usually it's the people that I have the parts of the lines that I have last worked on. And I will start putting that into this research plan so that I know what I'm looking for. I've done my homework in advance of going to the Family History Center, or the archives, or the county library, or the county courthouse, or whatever it is I'm looking for. I try and do all of that work in advance. One of the things that I do on Ancestry is I will use these filters and I use the custom tag left off here. I'm going to click this because now I get a list of everybody that is left off here. Okay. So now I can go through all of these different lines in my family and I can go and create a research plan for all of these people because these are the different lines where I left off. I had not finished what I call, my workup, I've worked the ancestor basically to the point that I can't work him anymore. And I've already verified the next generation back. So I remove that tag that says left off here. For example, let's jump into Jesse Henley for a second. So here's Jesse Henley. We go look at his profile and I can then edit this and turn off this by Xing that out. I can turn off that if I've now verified the next level back. And so I'm still working on this guy. I'm super thorough, so I take my time. The ancestors aren't going anywhere. There are only more records coming online every day. So I'm not worried about hurrying up and getting back to, Ireland or wherever. I am taking my time and getting every detail I can on every ancestor. That is the plan. The plan is the plan, right? There you go. So when I go to the family history library, I will be in this. This is just the beginning. I'm going to be working on this over the next few weeks prior to going to Salt Lake City. So, I'm super excited to go to Roots Tech. I can't wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. And so I can't wait to see you if you're going to be there. And I can't wait to do some research in Salt Lake City. So I'm super excited. Let me know if you have any questions about how to do this stuff. But boy, Google Sheets, it's free, it's easy, and you can just create different tabs for the different locations. So let me jump in here just for a second. If you want to learn more skills like this, there's a lot of different things that we teach at the Genealogy TV Academy. And as you can see here on the Genealogy TV platform, there are several courses that are in here, and all of the videos from the YouTube channel are also in here, and they are commercial free. So if you're tired of watching commercials, you can jump in here, and we have Zoom classes that are exclusive to the Academy, and those are once a month. We have a Q&A session, and then once a month we have a presentation on the first and third Wednesday of each month. So the first Wednesday is presentation, third Wednesday is the Q&A. And then there's Getting Started in Genealogy, there's Smart Research Skills course, there's just a bunch of stuff. And then I've created also some paths, which are basically groups of videos by subject, either from the YouTube channel or from the Academy. So those are kind of like playlists, if you will. So if you're interested in getting involved at all with the Genealogy TV Academy, I'll leave a link in the description box below for you there. And so it's that easy. All right, we'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.